Hello artists, how are you today? Stephanie Oni coming to you from the banks of the Trinity River here in Six Rivers National Forest near Willow Creek, California. Oz and I welcome you to the studio. We are so glad you are here with us today. Look at that. Look at that. It worked, and it worked out well. I tell you guys, this was a horrible page to do. I mean, my brain was completely 100% stumped on this. And mainly because I just had these three elements that I wanted to use, and I wanted them to relate to each other. I wanted them to have a story of their own. But I had no way of bringing it together. And so you will see a bit of that struggle here. I'm not sure if this will be one video or two. You know, I'll probably go back through and see if I can grab a little bit of that gesso footage. I probably won't be able to. So the first part of these two pages being made is in the Creating Your First Altered Book number 3. I believe it is all about gesso to protect and serve. And that's where this these pages got their beginning. I love how they turned out. I think the texture is incredible. I think the detail is really cool. This is pretty cool. And remember, with this frame page, you can put anything into a frame page that you want to, guys. Don't limit yourself by what everybody else has done. Try to think outside of the box. Think of what would work for you. Think of how you would want these two pages to relate to each other, because having the see-through portion of that frame really does make these two pages need to have a conversation, in my opinion. Otherwise, you've just got some random stuff. So I prefer to have my pages relating to each other. Some people don't. Okay. There's a lot of different supplies in here. This is copper foil tape. It's a 1/4 inch size. I will put a link for that down in the comments. And Patreons, you already did receive your card attachments. You got those at the beginning of the month. And I'll see if I can find these sticker letters. I have no clue what company I got them from. And then there are these metal embellishments, and I will put a link for those also. We used crackle texture paste, we used acrylic paint, we used Stabilo, we used our distress ink pads to color in our faces, our cards a little bit. We used our cobalt turquoise or cobalt teal, our cobalt teal to do the patina on all of these. Okay guys, well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, I'm not sure if this will be one video or two. We'll see how it goes through editing, because it took me all day long. I've been working on this since 6 o'clock this morning, and it is now about 3:30 in the afternoon, possibly 4 o'clock. So there's a lot of footage. It might be 2 videos, but it'll be worth it. Okay guys, I hope you have a great day, and we'll chat soon. Bye. What are you doing? Hi. Hi, sweetheart. What are you doing? Oh, where are you going? What are you doing? Come here. Ozzy, 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 Ozzy. Ozzy, 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 Ozzy. Ozzy, 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 Ozzy. Ozzy, 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 Ozzy. Come here. Oh, come see me. Oh, here, you want me to sit like that? So you can come see me like that? Oh, that's better, huh? Oh. Ozzy, 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 Ozzy. Ozzy, 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 Ozzy. Ozzy, 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 Ozzy. Now, what are you doing? Let's see if we can get you. What are you doing? You can't lick my painting. You can't lick my painting, kid. Good. What are you doing? Where are you going? Where are you going, my big stud muffin? What are you doing up there? What are you doing? You're so big. Make sure I'm still dressed up for that. Okay. I almost got you, didn't I? Oh, where are you going? He's telling me it's almost R-I-V-E-R time. Yes, he is. That's what he's saying. Let's go P-L-A-Y at the R-I-V-E-R. We'll talk soon. Bye. Okay. Well, we have made it a little bit, maybe almost halfway through the book, probably about halfway through the book. By the time it's all said and done, we have some gorgeous pages here. These kind of do their own little pop-up, these waves. They're kind of cool that way. You guys just saw this one last week, the floating pocket page. I do love how that turned out. Pretty cool. And then we have our single pocket, our simple pocket with the gesso transfers. And today we are going to work on these pages. So this is probably about 4 pages glued together here. And this is 2 pages glued together. This is 2 pages glued together. And then this is probably about 3 pages glued together. So this is super nice and stiff. And this one is really nice and heavy duty. Now I started these when I was doing the gesso conversation, which was creating your first altered book number 3. We talked all about gesso. And then I skipped these 2 pages because this is going to be a frame page. So this is the center of our frame. All right? So this is the front, and then this will be the back. Then here on the back side, I took black gesso. I put down a very generous amount once again, and I closed these 2 pages together, and I pulled them apart, and then I let it dry. Now this does have some white gesso on it. I don't know if I'm going to worry about that right now. I think I'm going to look at the page itself and see what we come up with for decorating. What I want to do is take these. Now these are pictures that I took of a deck of playing cards. Those are a little bit larger jacks. These are the smaller jacks. Patreons have received these images here at the beginning of the month. And I knew that this project was coming up, so that is why I gave those to Patreon. So as you can see, we have a theme going here. I wanted something that had opposites, that had that we could tell a story with, even though there's not a verbal story. So I love the Ace of Hearts, Ace of Spades is always one of my favorite. I am going to go through and cut these out. I'm going to use the smaller jacks here, and then we will come back in just a few minutes. Okay, so let's look at this. With this, we're going to make a simple frame page. And honestly, guys, the easiest way to measure out your frame page is to use the width of your ruler. Now, this one is a little bit wider than that one. So let's look at this real quick and see. We'll go here to here. The little deuter bobs. That does not give us a space that I need. So if I go from here to here. That gives me much more space. Now, it's still not going to give me all of the space that I need. But we're going to see. We might not be able to use these. Should figure, right? Okay, so I have these two pages here together, and I'm going to cut them out at the same time. All right. Let's see, this ruler is 2.5 millimeters wide. So by making this only 2.5 millimeters, what we're doing is making this really narrow. The more narrow that your frame is, the less strength it has. So you always want to be careful of that. But for size-wise, this is going to be our best bet. So we're going to go, of course, of course, 2.5 millimeters is right at almost 11. Actually, it is at 11, isn't it? And oh, we can just do this. I just didn't want to draw on the white, or I would have. You can always do this on the inside. It's probably better that you do. All right, so I am going to take my X-Acto knife and cut that out. I am. Let's see, X-Acto knife. My big heavy-duty one would be awesome, but since I don't know where it is right off the bat, we'll take this one. Now, we're going to be cutting through quite a few pages. Remember, we've got the inside frame there. So we're going to cut here. And we're going to make a couple different swipes. Until it goes all the way through. Be sure to use a sharp blade, guys. It's much safer if you use a sharp blade. And as I am right-handed, it makes sense for me to cut on the right side. If you're left-handed, you obviously have to work on the other side. We'll do whatever is the most comfortable for you. But make sure that your dominant hand has the most force for this cut. This makes sense, right? Always be careful when pulling the X-Acto knife towards you. All right, I'm going to finish cutting this out and we'll be right back. Okay, now that we are all cut out, we are going to do something cool with our frame page. Just to let you know here, guys, when you have this basic frame, you can do so many things with this. You can put anything in here that you want. With my second altered book, I actually did a really gorgeous stone drop that was kind of a free-floating thing. I'll put a link for that down into the comments. But you can do so much with just this simple frame. Don't think that you are limited to just doing one certain thing here. You can do anything that your brain can imagine. And it's cool. It's super cool. So let's go ahead and get started with this. What I want to do with my frame is I want to make a spinner. I know, isn't that gonna be cool? I want to make my jacks spin around. I want my queen to be here and my king to be here. Actually, let's reverse that. Let's do the queen of hearts here and the king here. And the reason for that is I'm looking at the difference between the black to the white, you know? Putting the King of Spades, instead of having him on the black and the masculine on the black, I'm kind of reversing that thought process. Now, well, it would be kind of cool to do a transfer. I could do something like that, but I definitely want him to be facing that direction. So since I took this photo, I can use this. Now, you know, it's still, you know, using the image off the card, but this is absolutely repurposing this image for something else. So we're going to figure out how to make this blend in better. Okay, so these are a couple of swivels that I have. And, you know, we have salmon fishing up here and steelhead trout. So these are really big, heavy-duty swivels for fishing. But I wouldn't, next time I'm not going to get something that is this big. But as I'm sitting here playing with this and measuring it out, I think it'll work out just right, luckily. So this will be somehow hidden and attached inside, and then this part will be hanging out, and then this part will be hanging out. And what swivels do is that they allow for swiveling. Cool stuff, huh? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of black, this is chipboard. Yes, I think it is chipboard. I'll have a link down to it in the comments. And I think I might try to make it just like an 1/8 of an inch border with it. Let's pull out the Mod Podge, and I'll show you that super quick. We're just going to put it on with Mod Podge. I don't think we need to do any stronger glue than that when we are gluing paper to chipboard. It works pretty darn slick. Very nice. Little, maybe a 1/16 of an inch border, maybe a millimeter or two. I just want them to have a nice border. Okay, so then with these guys, these are the pieces that we cut out of this frame. And so as I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, that is a perfect border for this. So when we come into the book, we can bring it over here, and he has a wonderful border on him, which will just give us more interest for whatever we decide to do on this background, which I'm not quite positive yet. We might swoop, 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 swoop. Just giving it that little teeny tiny border. Now, if you want to make sure you're making a straight line, if you line up your poster board or your board along the lines, if you have one of these grid cutters, it's perfect. And let's see here. This is how we make a perfect parallel line. See how it's lined up? And then you see how you can take it from here to here. If you do that, you have an automatic 90-degree angle, because you're just using your cutting board to measure. It's genius. See? Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna try this. So half of 2 1/2 is 1 1/4. So we're gonna measure that. All right. And up here. Right, I'm gonna take my Memory Keeper's corner chomper. Do I want the 1/2 inch or the 1/4 inch? Let's go with the 1/2 inch. And now he's drinking. He's making it very hard. All right, I need a tester page here. I don't know if this is the way to do this. Obviously that is not the way to do this. That's not working. Next. Try an actual stipple brush. Will that work better? You guys, you know I'm not a pro stenciler, right? Never have claimed to be. Never. However, I do love the effects that it gives, so that's why we're going to play with it, which is entirely possible. And I just moved it. That's okay. That's okay. This I can work with. Here, let's just kind of fuzz some of these areas out. And you know me, nothing ever stays the way it just was, like that, you know. All right, I like that. I think that's pretty interesting right off the bat. And we're going to pull in some of that color right into the edge, allowing this texture to be part of it. Okay, with this one, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Oh, wow. Maybe. Because that's beautiful. Wow, I'm thinking about bringing a little bit of variation of color in here. And I think that's going to be a good bet. Now there's a little bit of water left in my brush here that's kind of diluting the paint a little bit. So I'll take the circle one, again, back over here, and I'll probably put some more of the purple in with it. I think that would look really good. Come on, it's got a hair in it from my brush. These cheap brushes drive me a little nuts. Oh, that did not turn out as good as the other one. It got too much paint on it. But I don't hate that at all. I think it's really interesting. It wasn't what I thought it would do. Not surprising. Now what are you doing there, kid? I believe he's tearing up a paper plate. I like it. It's not exactly what I was going for, but I do like it. You're gonna have to forgive Ozzy. He's crunching over there again. Okay, so what I did, without you seeing, is I just took my stencil and put down some of the antique silver crackle on top of that pattern that we already had. You know, guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, because this has been a challenging page. I swear I'm having a heck of a time with it. It's hard to know why, but it's just you know, maybe it's these things that aren't speaking to me enough. I love them. I think they're really cool graphics. I'm wanting to make them relate but opposite, but you know, I think it's a good story, but sometimes it's hard to make it all work together. So we're just going to put some more layers on this and see if we can't come up with something that's pretty cool. Now when we have this stencil down with this crackle paste, you know, in the morning I'll come in and start playing with it again. And here we go with this, maybe. There we go. Now, that's definitely an interesting, strong corner, isn't it? But I am looking for interesting lines and shapes. So I think I'm okay with leaving that just like that is. Yeah, you can kind of put some splooshies in there, little interest marks. And let's see what happens tomorrow, you know? Could be cool. Okay, so let's jump over here. We're gonna set that aside for now. And we're gonna look at the king and queen and our background. Now, the question is do I wanna keep like layering, or do I wanna get these guys down so I can actually see what's gonna happen with them? And I think I really do wanna get them put down here, because it still feels really discombobulated, and that's because the parts are in pieces. We need to put it all together. So we're taking our good strong glue, our Fabri-Tac, gluing these puppies down. Could you do it with Mod Podge? Yeah, it might not stay as well though. So we're gonna grab our ruler. We are, oh my gosh, it's a ruler. Actually, we don't have to do that part. We can do this part right here. Make sure you've got whatever end up you want. And remember, since this is essentially the same size as that, we can line them up through there. Now, let's double check our measurements for sure. Remember, that was 1 inch around each side. Perfect. Let's grab out our archivals, because that white doesn't work for me. It's part of what's throwing me off with all of it. Let's start out light with like a tattered rose. Tea dye. So as you can see, I'm slowly changing the colors, bringing them deeper and deeper until I figure out what the coloring is that I want it to be. What are you doing, buddy? It's just water in my brush. Crushed olive.